A highly skilled workforce is the backbone to a country's economy. The Canadian government has recognized this and has pledged $500 million each year for the next 5 years through the Canada Job Grant. Funding is actually allocated on a first-come, first-served basis, and those who aren't ready now to take advantage of this risk placing their employees and organizations a step behind the competition. Michelle, you've had a chance to work with customers all around the world. What are they most concerned with right now?
It's a good question, Don. What we've seen is our customers have really been focused on reacting to the change in demographics and finding and developing leaders for the next generation. And while we think this is a really critical piece of it, we actually think that there's a bigger disruptor, and that's the digital revolution.
What do you mean by the digital revolution?
So the digital revolution is using technology to radically improve business performance, and organizations can do that in multiple ways. So first, you can use technology to change your business model, and we've seen an example of that recently where LinkedIn actually purchased an online training company, allowing them to participate in a different vertical. You can also use technology to change your business processes, and we've seen that with HR, where you have adopted practices to use technology to crowdsource applicants for job postings, to start to interview people in a more remote or virtual way. The third way that you can actually use technology to improve business performance is to enhance the client experience. So you can use applications to make sure that you can communicate better with your customers. And we see car dealerships doing things like that, where you can install an application and they'll notify you when your service is complete. And then finally, you can also use technology to enhance your employee experience. So you can give the employees the opportunity to work in a mobile way, increasing their productivity and allowing them to also be more social within the organization.
What does this mean to organizations regarding developing new skills?
Well, there's lots of new skills required to work in this new environment. So first of all, everybody needs to develop better digital skills, and that means people coming into the workforce, the millennials, they have to learn how to use technology in a business way. It also means that people who might be from older generations have to embrace this new move towards social and using digital pervasively in their job. We know that certainly it has an impact on IT. IT people have to be able to communicate in a different way with business stakeholders and partners outside of the organization, and they really need a deeper understanding of their company's business model to make sure that they can leverage technology to really drive performance. And then finally, from a leadership perspective, leaders need to be comfortable leading virtual teams. They need to be comfortable managing people who aren't in the office, that you can't watch and see what they're working on every day. Really shift to focus more on the outcomes as opposed to how much time people spend doing tasks.
Scott, you've been in the learning and people business for many years, and no doubt you've seen a lot of change throughout the years. What is your perspective on how organizations are changing today, and how is this different from previous times?
So Don, I think there's a few things. First of all, the technology that we have access to is incredibly sophisticated. We probably all carry smartphones. That's an incredibly powerful device that is really ubiquitous. And that's really what's happening in business as well. The technology is really everywhere. It's no longer just in IT, it's throughout the organization. And when we're talking about job roles changing, we're not just talking about a job description changing. We're talking about job functions changing. The nature of work is changing. An example of that is probably the cloud. And we talk a lot about cloud, or we hear about the cloud, but many of us don't really have a good sense of what that really means, even though there are applications like Office 365 or Salesforce.com that are cloud-based services. But really the different thing about cloud is that the technology that we use, the hardware and software, used to be on our premises. We used to own it, purchase it. We were responsible for the care and feeding of that technology. Now that's been outsourced to a third-party organization. So the difference now is that we still need people who are really deeply, have a deep understanding of that technology, but rather than the care and feeding of the hardware and software, their expertise is now about how we can use that technology for the good of the business. So the value equation between business and IT has flipped. We used to have job functions that existed to serve the technology. Now we've got technology that exists to serve the needs of the business.
What is it that you're hearing from business leaders you deal with or from your HR clients? What are their pain points?
So it probably boils down to one thing, which is change, because we're talking a lot about change. It's the pace of change, it's the scope of change. But it's also that change is now continual. You know, we sometimes think of change as being like a transition from A to B, but we're in a much more fluid time now in business, and that introduces some complexities. So the thing that is constant through all of that, though, is our people. So as business leaders, we need to really understand the needs of our organization, the needs of our people, and we need to be investing in both. Because our folks need help dealing with that new world, and they need to be able to work well with that new interplay, that deep interplay between IT and the business.
Michelle, do you have an example of a customer that you work with that has done a good job addressing any of these challenges?
Yes, actually we work with a global luxury retailer that operates in 5 different types of business. And a couple of years ago they came to us because they recognized that their senior IT leaders really needed to start to develop new and different skills to succeed. And what we've done for them is we've developed a multi-module business school level program that allows these business leaders to develop communication skills, better understanding of business strategy and functions, and really work in different ways within their organization to deliver value.
Pam, we've heard from Michelle and Scott on how technology is changing organizations and the importance of a highly trained workforce. Let's talk now about the federal government's Canada Job Program. Could you give us a high-level view of the program from Global Knowledge's perspective? Why was this program created and what is it?
Well, Don, the program was created to address this digital skills gap, exactly what we've been talking about here today. So it was designed to create a highly skilled workforce here in Canada, to enable economic growth for Canadian businesses, and ultimately keep jobs here in Canada.
What is it, who is it for, and how does it work?
So the Canada Job Grant Program is a federally funded program, and it's implemented throughout each of the provinces. It's designed for employers so that the employers can identify the skills they need that align with their business goals. So each employee is eligible for up to $15,000 per year. So $10,000 is contributed from the federal government and $5,000 through the employer. And in total, the federal government is allocating $500 million per year for this program.
This is very interesting, and clearly the Canadian government is 100% behind the goal of ensuring businesses have the skills they need to be successful. Scott, can you comment on this program? How does it differ from other government programs from the past?
So the main thing I think is that, as Pam mentioned, this is focused on the employer. So previous programs may have focused on individuals, maybe going through career transitions or whatever. And this is really focused on the employer. It's about ensuring that the organization has a holistic skill set that enables them to address this, amongst other challenges, this digital disruption. But the other thing about this program is that it's not sector specific. It's not part of a specific industrial strategy. This is about having Canadian business overall being able to compete effectively on the world stage.
Michelle, can you comment on this program in light of what you are seeing with digital disruption?
Well, I think it's a really great catalyst to get organizations starting to look at what they need to do in order to compete in this digital world.
This is great, and it sounds like a significant opportunity. $500 million in funding per year over the next 5 years. Pam, with so much opportunity, how can Global Knowledge help?
The first thing that we can help you with is developing a training roadmap. So in this era of change and digital disruption, it's absolutely important to have a good plan, and a plan that aligns with the business and where the business is going. So that's really, step number one where we can help you. Step number two is the application process itself. So we understand that our clients are busy, that applications are time consuming, and you don't always have the experience to understand what that's all about. So Global Knowledge can also help you with that application process to make sure you get the training that you need and the funding that's been allocated to the businesses. So we can help you from start to finish.
Businesses are undergoing a transformation, and the nature of work today is changing rapidly. According to our panel of experts, we are seeing significant job changes for many people. And the good news is the government is fully supportive of these changes. Please join us for our second part of the roundtable discussion with Global Knowledge and find out more about the digital disruption and how roles and skills are changing. Visit globalknowledge.ca/Canada Job Grant to find out more and register for a free webinar, Preparing for Digital Disruption, Future-Proofing Yourself and Your Organization.